Hi everyone, I'm Julie from Julie's Everything Treasures and welcome to my Wednesdays chat and craft time. And this is what we do most Wednesdays is I'll do some kind of little craft while I chat away, and hopefully you join in and chat away back to me through the comments. So this week we are going to be working with these. If you remember last week I was given 5 of these by a lovely lady that she gave me a box of things to use, and she had these at the top of the box and she said, do you want them? There's 5 of them, do you want them? They're kind of not really worth anything. I can throw them out or you can have them. And this is one of those projects where instantly I knew what I wanted to do with it. It just came to me and I'm like, yes, I want them, I want this. Thank you very much. And she said, oh, okay, I'm looking forward to see what you do with these, because she was quite baffled of how excited I was, because I knew exactly what I wanted to do with them, and that's what we're going to do today. And just to let you know that anyone that has dropped off a box for me for their thrift store items, because the thrift stores are closed, I just want to say thank you. And also I have given each person that's dropped off a box a little gift from my store of something I've created. I've let them choose something, and that's my way of saying thank you. So anyone popping on, say hello in the comments where you're from, and as I say, I'm gonna be turning this into something a little bit more pretty than what it is. I've got 5 of these, so I've got 5 different stages, so you don't have to wait for the paint to dry each time. And I'm going to bring you down and get started on this one, okay? Hopefully I can bring you down without dropping you. Hopefully you don't get too dizzy while I bring you down. And now that's a lovely just view for you to just look at glue. That's great. Is that a little bit better for you? I know you can't see my face, but you don't really need to, right? All you need to see is this. Hi Denise, how are you doing today? So basically it's just a scrap piece of wood, and it's not even real wood. It's kind of, I think they call it MDF. Not sure. And I'm just basically, I wasn't looking for any certain size or anything like this. I have 5 of these pieces, and what I'm going to do is try and turn them into an old style tile. That's what I'm going to be doing. So, oh, thank you, Denise. So what we're going to start with is I have one of these plastic ones. Didn't pick up anything very expensive. Hi, Kathy, how are you doing? And oh, this is heavy. I picked this up and it is spackling. It's one of those kind of, what does it say here? Oh, I'm not quite sure exactly. For interior use, won't shrink or crack, no priming required. So basically it's just kind of a filler type thing, and just be careful with it. It is strong smelling, and as I say, spackling is what I'm going to use, and it is very, very pink, and I am certainly not a pink person, even though I'm wearing a pink sweater today, but I'm not generally a pink person. But when it dries white. Hi Lois, how are you doing? So I'm going to basically slap this on, and that's the fun part of this, because this is one of those projects, this part here, where you want to slap it on. And it says to work it good, work it hard. Well, instead of stirring it in there, I kind of figured, well, why not just work it good while it's on here? You don't want it too thick and you don't want it too perfect. I am just kind of pushing it all over, and because I've got this line here, which I certainly don't need, I'm just filling that as I go along too. And as I say, I don't want it perfect. I want that rough look of like old tile. So I'm just slapping it on, creating some texture as I go along, and just don't want it too thick or else it would take hours and hours to dry. But I do want it a little bit of a thickness just to give texture. A little bit more. I've got the windows open, so hopefully the train doesn't go by too noisy, but this stuff is a little bit smelly, so I have opened the windows. And just work it around, have fun, pretend you're a kid again, and just build up that texture. Getting it everywhere, and it's okay if you miss parts, it's okay if you don't have it all, you want it just, you know, rough and ready, that's okay. And I just use a little bit too, just to do the edges, so that you don't have that kind of rough, fake MDF wood look showing through when you do eventually go to paint this. Oh, getting it everywhere. Oh. But I'm having fun, that's okay, getting it everywhere. Just get this going on the sides and then we'll get to the next stage. And this does take, it says 5 to 6 hours to dry. And as I say, as it dries, it turns white. Hi Carol, how are you doing? Basically, I found for it to fully go white and fully dry at the thickness I put it on, it almost took 12 to 24 hours. So don't, you know, if you're doing something for a certain time with this, take your time with it, give it that plenty of drying time. So we're making basically rustic old looking tile that you can hang on your wall, put in on your shelf. It's just a decorative tile, that's all. And I think I'm scraping off more than I'm putting on because I'm chatting away, trying to read the comments and at the same time, and making a good old mess, so you know I'm having fun if I'm making a mess, right? And there we go. Just gonna move this out of the way, put the lid on this because I certainly don't want that dumping everywhere, and try and just put this down. I didn't do the back because I want one side basically just to be flat, so that it'd be easy if you want to put a hook on it or something like that to hang it on the wall, then you've got that backing. Now because I want to do a little bit to this, I'm going to just dry it lightly. So what I'm trying to do is just quickly with the blow dryer, I'm going to dry it a little so the top layer has gone a little bit white, and I will show you, but it won't be fully dry and I don't want to rush to dry it. I'm just showing you this one step, okay? Sorry about the noise. Hi Laurie, how you doing? But as you can see a little bit, if I get it close to you, it's going white. You see what I mean? So I want it slightly white on the top, and then it doesn't need to be fully dry. Okay, so just a little longer. Bear with me. we have, as I say, the top part, you can see it's slightly white and underneath is still pink. And that's just to do this next step. And what I'm going to do is, I have the stamp, that's the crackle. I'm just going to push that down into one of the kind of edges, just a little bit of crackle, just pushing it down into the compound. When you've pulled it back off, you want to wash it really well. You don't want this stuff stuck onto your stamp, that's for sure. And if you find you've crackled a little too much, like I think I did on this, you can always sand it a little when it's dry. But there we have some crackle. Can you see that? And then on the other side, my usual favourite stamp, I'm going to actually just push in the kind regards words just onto the other side and just put that on and put that in. Maybe it'd be a good idea to make sure it's up the right way. We don't want it's like a letter, we don't want that upside down. So I'm just going to place it on top, push down firmly, just randomly. It's just a background for the tile. Pull it off, and as I say, try and wash that straight away, just so that it doesn't get any compound on it. And it's still wet, obviously. This is now, it's going to take a good 12 hours to fully dry, but I'm going to show you what I have so far. Can you see that? Bad lighting, is that better? Can you see that I've got some words, some crackle? When it's fully dry, you can sand it down just a little bit and have it as distressed as you want it, however you want it. But just leave that to dry, okay? So I'm just going to put that over here. Leave it overnight and let that dry. And obviously, knowing me, the magic of being on the internet, I have one here that's already dry, fully white, and we're going to do the next step and we're going to have some fun. Well, I've finally got in some clay. This is the IOD air dry clay, and I had to wait for some to arrive, so I have that. This is what we're going to be using, and some of the molds to go with it. So I'm going to basically do a pattern with this, and I'm going to be using maybe some of this one, or maybe some of this one. We'll have a look, see what we've got. So I like to put on a little bit of corners and things like that. So I think I'm going to put this shape here, I'm going to put that right in the middle, I think. So you're going to use some basic cornstarch, cheaper the better, it's not important. We're just going to put a little bit of this inside the mold just to stop the clay sticking too much. It goes in nicely, it gets all the detail, but it doesn't stick too much that you can't get it back out. So just put the cornstarch in the part of the mold that you want to use, put it in quite thickly, and then dust it out with your brush, just using a cheap little dollar store brush to do it with. Nice soft little one. So there we go, that's what we have going on. And then we're going to get some of the clay, and I find I can never do it perfectly while I'm doing it live, you know, one of those things, do what I say, not what I do. But I find if you put too much clay in, the better. When you're taking some out of the clay, that's fine. But if you don't quite have quite enough clay, hi Sheila, how are you doing? If you don't have quite enough clay and you're trying to push it to all the edges to fill in the mold you're using, when you're pulling it thin, pulling it a little bit to put it in, that's where I find it cracks. So you never want to be pulling it into, trying to reach it into spaces. You want to push it in easily and have some left over that you're almost just getting rid of because you don't need it. So you'll be pushing it in like this, and you've got way too much, which is good. It's going pouring over the sides, which is fine. And then just basically push down Take off any you don't need, flatten the top nicely, get the edges perfect. It's got a ridge on, so it's quite easy to do. And as I say, if you've got too much and you've taken some off, even better, because then it's less likely to crack. So we have it in place, and now hopefully it comes out nicely. Oh, there you go, comes out really nicely. And oh, if I didn't drop it, there you go, is that. So I'm going to use some glue and put that in the middle of my tile. Bring this closer so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm just going to put some glue on the back of here and put it on my tile. Putting some on, and then just use your finger just to rub it around and place it on. As I say, it doesn't have to be perfectly middle. This is a rustic, going to be old looking tile. That's what we're doing. And there you go for that in the middle. And then we're going to do some corners, some edges. So I'm just getting a baby wipe out because I've got glue on my fingers and I want to do some more clay. So how's everyone doing? Everyone good? I'm a little cold today. We've had such beautiful weather. It's been gorgeous the last couple of weeks, and now today the rain came back, which I'm not complaining about. For the garden we need it, and also just in summer you can end up having, you know, basically it's so dry that you're needing water. So I don't mind the rain coming, but I just got a little chilled today. I don't know, what's the weather like for you guys? So now I'm trying to think what I want to put on for the rest of it. So I'm having a look here. I think I'm going to use this small one here. Can you see that one? I'm going to put that on two of the corners, opposite diagonal corners. So I want two of these. So there's my brush, and put some corn starch in that one. And you know what? I'm going to do a second one at the same time, because then I can just be putting them in at the same time. So I think on the other corner I'm going to use this one. Still chilly there too, yeah. So my mum was a little bit on the downside this week, just to let you guys know. I usually FaceTime with my mum because she's in England. So hi mum, I know she'll be watching this when she does eventually get around to watching it. And she was a little down because I do FaceTime her every 2 weeks, and I will be FaceTiming her on Sunday, even though it's not my week to do. But it's her 80th birthday, and they're in England, so they're on lockdown. So unfortunately, there's not a lot she can do for her 80th, so she was a little bit down. So I kind of felt bad about that. You know, anyone that's trying to plan weddings, birthdays, graduations, things like that, I feel bad for them for that kind of thing that's going on right now. It's a shame. Just putting these molds in just because I'm basically repeating exactly what I've just done. I know you guys don't need me to repeat it 100 times what I'm doing, and I'm just doing two at the same time here, so it's quicker, and then we can do two corners at the same time. If you've got a long piece of mold, just roll it a little bit to stretch it in around your mold. and push it into the edges, into all the detail. And what I do with this clay is I put it on, stick it on, and I leave it overnight, and by the next day it's nicely dry, ready for painting. Some people paint it wet and it works fine. You know, I haven't done it, but I have seen some people working with the clay while it's still wet. But the way I drop things, I get stuff all over my hands and I get myself a big mess. I know what I create in the end I'm really pleased with generally. But if the rules on the packet say wait for it to dry, I think the safest bet, knowing my clumsy ways, is just to let it dry, you know. Don't tempt fate if you're one of those that drops everything or makes a mess as you're doing things. Anyway, I'm just going to tap these two out. Hopefully they come out easy, but there is a little bit more detail on these, so we'll see. Gotta just work it a little to get the tiny detailed edges out, because they tend to break. Oh, this one's coming off easy. Let's get that one out first. Just get the, as I say, the fine detail, try and pull it out first. There you go. Move that out the way. So I'm going to be sticking these on the corners. I'm going to put this delicate one at the top, so let's get some glue on. Oh, itchy nose. Has anyone got the air dry clay? Anyone used it yet? Anybody worked with it? Oh, you got rain too? Hey, yep, yeah, it's raining here. And a little windy. Not too bad, but a little windy. But yeah, I almost had AC on in my car last week, and now I've got the heat on in my car this week. That just shows it's spring. Typical spring. Push it down onto the tile. I'm going to put this one on. And then I'll stand it up and show you what we're up to so far. Oh. I'm going to put it up here. I'm just going to try and rub my fingers from the glue, show you what I've got going on. So this is what we've got going on so far. So I'm going to repeat this again on this side, the same, and then we'll be on to the next step. What do you think? Oh, so the weather is going right through down the country, I guess. All the little bit of a cold spurt going right down everywhere here. So what do you think so far? Liking it? Is it a good one? Alright, I'll carry on then. Just going to make 2 more of those and put them on, and then we'll be done with the mould. So another story to tell you again this week. I'm always telling you stories, right? But anyway, my husband's been, he's been very sore. He's got shoulder and his thumb and everything. He's been quite sore. So I've been doing a lot of things around the house that are usually what I would call, those are his jobs. And I've been doing a lot of his jobs for him because he's been in quite a bit of pain. Anyway, he finally went to the doctors and got x-rays on his shoulder and everything. And I asked him to give me a call when he saw the doctor with the results and that. And I'm not sure if he's going to like me telling you this, but he literally, when he phoned me up, I said, everything's okay? Are you all right? Do you need any help? He's like, the doctor says I'm getting old. and that basically I've got stuff going on that it's just age, and I need to start kind of working on being healthy because I'm getting old. So I kind of laughed a little bit. He is in pain, so I didn't laugh too much, but yeah, we're all getting old, aren't we? And I guess from his doctor, he literally was told he's getting old. So that's his pains. And I know how he feels because I get the aches and pains myself. I'm a little bit, well, quite a bit older actually than my husband, so he's always a few years behind me on aches and pains and things. Oh, it's coming out so easily that it almost came out before I was ready. Alright, let's do this last one, collecting any of this clay that I don't need. A little bit more. And just roll it into this part. Push it into place, right into all the details so you don't miss any of the details. And as I say, I keep telling you, but I like to kind of give you this wisdom on the clay because I have had it where it's cracked on me when I first got it, because I was trying to be liberal with it. Well, not liberal, but I was trying to be really careful not to use too much and to not waste it, and so I was kind of being really careful with the clay, you know, not wasting any. And I found I wasn't putting enough in, and each time it was cracking on me. And then one time I put it on just so thickly, and I thought, what am I doing? Why am I putting it on so thick? And I pulled some out and finished the piece, and that's the one that actually did not crack on me. And I thought, magic! I figured it out. I finally figured it out. Don't put it on too thin, because you're just stretching it, and anywhere you stretch it and stress it, that's where it'll continue to crack. So, and since I've been putting it on a little bit more thickly in places, I haven't had it crack. And one of the other things with this is always put it in, when you're not using it, always put it in a little Ziploc baggie. You don't want it to dry out, because once you do, it's done. That's why, I mean, it's air dry clay, so you don't want it to be in the air too long. Alright, let's see if we can get these out, stuck on. As I say, just try and get the detail out a little bit first, the little edges. I find these little corner bits here a little bit of a pain to get out. This one, oh, that one pops out easy. But this one always needs a little coaxing on the edges. But once you get it going, you can always not even stop it. Make sure you clean out all the clay from your mold here too. What I do is a little bit, like I do the same with the stamps, a little bit of warm water, and I use a baby toothbrush and just go in to all the crevices, and that's how I clean them out. Alright, let's get these stuck on, and then we can get to the next stage. So I'm doing the same pattern in the opposite corner, basically. I like to be creative, but I also like to have a pattern going on. I'm not very random. I like organisation. I'm not the type to just put it anywhere. It's just not my personality. Make sure you put the lid back on your glue. As I say, just use your fingers. Wipe all the glue all over the back, all the detail, covering it nicely. Little coat everywhere. And then just putting it down in this corner. I quite like this one. I've got different ones going on here, which I'll show you in a minute. But this one's quite pretty. Pushing it down nicely. Get the glue off my fingers. Hey Debbie, how's it going? And if anyone can sprinkle, and that would be amazing. Thank you. If you've got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. And if I do miss any questions, I will pop back after and answer them. But this is what we've got going on. What do you think so far? How are you doing, Debbie? So this now, as I say, I would leave this overnight and let it dry, okay? And then you can do whatever you want with it after that. So I do, as I said, I have 5 of these. So I have got a couple of them here that I've already done. They're already dry. And I got different ones going on, so it's different types. This one has got a rooster on it. Something a little different if you want to kind of do it farmhousey. This one I did it a little bit more kind of French looking. So I got that one too. Oh, you've been working today. Yeah, I'm lucky enough that I can do my full-time job. I do work from home, which means I can go to my craft room and work a little and paint a little at the same time. So I'm usually answering emails on the phone and painting all here through my day. So I actually do a full-time job and do my crafting here all at the same time. So I'm kind of lucky that way. I don't actually have to go out to work. And that's only been since November. Previous to that, I actually had to commute all the way to work, do my full-time job, then come back and paint. So I'm kind of happy now. So what I'm going to be doing is painting these, and I'm just going to show you the paint here. It's my usual, the white linen chalk paint. You can use any kind of chalk paint to paint over this. This is what I'm going to be using, and I paint the back, the sides, I paint everywhere. So just basically, I'll bring it here so I can reach it. Just grab some paint and just go over the whole thing everywhere. Just put in the chalk paint all over. There's not a huge difference in colour because it's white chalk paint on top of white clay on top of white spackle. So white on white on white, but you do want to give it a nice pink colour. There you go. And it does cover the back, any of the black that you've got showing through. You're going to be covering it up and just, getting rid of any of the yellow from any of the glue, and just paint it over. And just get the paint in all the details everywhere. Go down the sides. And as I say, you want to kind of really get it in the paint. You want it white everywhere. And you want to paint the back too, as well, as I say. All the sides, get it covered, get the paint all into the little details. I won't do the backs right now because we want to get it dry, right? But there you go, basically painted. I'm going to leave that over here to dry, and just go over this one too. The same thing. That's true, yes. You find some lumber yards I've seen before when I'm driving by. Some lumber yards I find that they have like a bin on the outside, and they have all their pieces that they would generally throw out. They put it in the bin for people to just, it's a free bin, and you can just go by and pick up whatever there is. And I've seen that a few times. So if you do have a lumber yard in your area and you're looking for wood of any kind, check that out, because I find sometimes you'll pick up the most unusual pieces of wood and it'll inspire you to whatever you're thinking that you may want to create with it. So always check that, and you know, you can always even maybe give a phone call to your local lumber yard and ask them if there is a certain day they want you to come down, or you know, so you're not in the way, but you're picking up whatever they would generally get rid of, right? So I find they're quite helpful sometimes because they have odd bits and pieces. And also quite often people that are doing projects at home will have pieces left over and they'll put them on Marketplace, and sometimes you'll pick up a good deal there too. As I say, just going over this quite roughly, but just getting it painted up so you get the idea. And I will paint the backs too, but just get that one so it will dry. Over here, and then remove this one. And of course, you know me, I have one painted, dry and ready for the next step. But of course, again, if you know me, I've got to clean my hands off first. Hold up. I've got glue, paint, spackle, clay, you name it, it's all over my fingers right now. Alright, this is the one that I have got. It's painted all over the back, it's painted the front, I painted it up this morning. This is the one we're going to be working on to do the finish, and when I've finished all the other ones I'll show you them in a picture or something when they're all done, but this one we're going to do the final stage on. So I'm going to get out, just give it a little shake. And what I'm using, I don't know if you can see it because I've got stuff all over it, you know me, messy me. It's a glaze, and it's an aged glaze. Can you see that? I basically picked this one up from Home Depot. I'm going to use a dry cloth, and if I need a wet cloth I'll just use basically the baby wipes. So I'm going to just basically, with the glaze, I'm just going to go over, especially into the areas, the details. I'm just going to do a little bit at a time, going in with, I'm using basically a brush I would usually use for stenciling because it's short bristled, and just be able to kind of push it into all the detail. So I'm just going to, as I say, just do a little bit at a time here, making sure I get it everywhere. And then with my cloth, I'll stand it up while I show you. With my cloth, I'm just going to basically wipe it back off. And you just you want it. You know what? This is just another thing that's come to me. I was talking to my mom, as I said, on the weekend, and she said, you know, when you're doing your lives, you always say basically. She says you repeat it over and over and over. I said, I didn't know that. And now I've just caught myself a couple of times. I've just said, basically. So my mom was right. Well, moms are always right here. But what do you think? Is that looking good? So I'm going to basically, I'm going to go over a bit more and keep going on this. You can pull off more, you can wipe on more, you can have it however you like it to be. So you figure out how much is enough and how much is not enough, of whether you want more of the edge, less of the edge. Just play with it. I thought I got some on my brush, but obviously not. I'm going to go around the rabbit, really getting into the edges, because I want them to look like they are shadows. Get right in under there. And then the rabbit does have a little texture on it, so I'm going to try and get into that too. And then I'll wipe some of this off. Oh, I'm glad you're liking it. As I say, once I've got all 5 finished, I'll have a matching set, and I think it would look nice, maybe either, as I say, just on a shelf or even hung up on the wall into a set as a wall piece. You could even get a board for it and mount them onto that. That would be nice too. And all from basically a lady saying to me, do you want these pieces of old wood? It's not even real wood, it's just MDF, or shall I throw them out? And I said to her, no, I want those. I know exactly what I'm going to do with them. Now you can go in I was going to say basically again, I know I'm doing it now. Go into the corners and the tops, back in, and just make them look a little darker. And then if you want, just dab it in into areas you want it in. But I'll just get this one finished off so we can get seeing the end result of this one. And then I'll work on the rest of the week and show you when I'm done. Making sure you get it in all the detail, push it in there, and then wipe it away. And I'm just going to get the baby wipe and just use that just to rub some highlighted areas of white. Sorry, I put the rag right in front of you there. Hi, Marsha. It just came to me as soon as I saw the pieces, I thought they looked like tiles. And then I thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice to do an aged looking tile? And my mind just went straight to it. And that's kind of how I came up with it. And then, usually when that happens to me, in the night time, I'm thinking, how do I do it? What's the steps? What do I need? And I can't sleep. And it drives me crazy. So then, I have to write down everything I thought of so far so I can get a little bit of sleep. And then carry on thinking about it the next day and figuring it out the next day, basics of how to, you know. So as I say, just use a little bit of the glaze just on the edges, just to give it that aged look. Along here. And even though it's still a little on the wet side, I think I've got it exactly how I want it to look. There you go. That's the finished one. And as I say, I've got 5 different patterns. I've got a rooster, got all kinds of things going on. And if you see this one, without making a mess, here, that's what hold on, let me just get so I'm right in front of you here. That's what we started with, basically MDF, and that's what we finished with. And this one's still pink, not my kind of pink, even though, as I say, I'm wearing a pink sweater today. So on the back, I will finish it off. You do want to put the glaze on so it all is together and looks like full tile, and I will do that. Yeah, I will finish that off in a minute. But right now I'm gonna ring you up with my fingers here and say thank you everyone for watching. I had a great time, and I hope you enjoyed seeing how I created the tile, and it inspires you to do something wonderful too. And I hope everyone has a great evening, and thanks for watching. If you can spread the word and help encourage, support my little new business that I'm trying to create here, that would be awesome. Thank you so much everyone. Have a great night. Thank you again for watching, and please be safe. All right, thank you.